36 years is a long time, but in the end, it feels like the blink of an eye. After 36 years as a teacher, assistant coach, head coach, and athletic director, after 36 years dedicated to kids, Steve Bragg is calling it a career.
This has been a dream for me to be able to be in Mesquite ISD for all these years and serve the district and serve the community that I grew up in.
Steve Bragg is Mesquite through and through. He played football at McDonald Middle School and later at North Mesquite.
And Steve's the type of kid everybody wants on their team because you know he's going to study, you know he's going to work hard, and he's going to do what's right. And that's the kind of kids that build a high school program.
After college, he returned to North as a 22-year-old teacher and assistant football coach.
I still remember first week walking down a hall with a briefcase and another teacher asking me for a hall pass.
My daughter was one of his students at North Mesquite. She had so many great teachers, but Steve Bragg stood out in her mind because he always conveyed that he cared about the students.
We run into people that were former students and didn't play sports, but they'll say, Coach Bragg, you were the best teacher I ever had.
I really think the kids know, they can figure it out pretty quick, the people that really are sincere about them and the people that just talk about it.
Because Steve really went by the concept that he wasn't in the coaching business, he was in the people business.
Gary Childress was North's athletic coordinator and head football coach in 1983, and he placed Steve in charge of the soccer program despite having no experience in the sport.
My first couple of years, subbing and things like that, the kids say, hey, you can't sub yet.
How many coaches wear Wranglers and boots on the sideline? So you knew it wasn't a soccer background, but he wanted the best for us.
Despite his inexperience, Steve led the Stallions to the state tournament 2 years in a row in 1986 and 87.
There were times he had come out to some of our club team practices and gain ideas, but he was willing to learn.
You can take, somebody that's maybe never really been a track coach or a baseball coach or soccer coach, and if they're a good communicator and they really care about the kids, they're going to learn enough about it that they're going to make a huge difference.
Coach Bragg spent the 90s as Poteet's offensive coordinator, working under Coach Bill Taylor.
Steve was a hard worker. He spent a lot of time with those kids. He did a lot of things behind the scenes that working with the kids that some coaches don't.
Steve Bragg's career spanned 36 years, 34 in Mesquite,
Sandlin's a really pretty lake.
2 in East Texas, and 1 unforgettable year in Pittsburgh.
There was our practice field, was right there.
In 1999, he became a head coach for the first time for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And there's not any better football than what there is in Northeast Texas.
Coach Bragg's teams ran the ball.
We threw the ball 5-6 times a game.
He inherited a team that had thrown the ball more than anyone else the previous year.
We went from a spread offense with throwing the ball, and I wasn't the fastest guy on the field, so I wasn't a runner.
Assistant coaches' offices were down here.
Despite the differences in philosophies, Pittsburgh made the playoffs and nearly upset the eventual state champions.
What's going on?
Oh my goodness, how are you?
I'm good, how about you?
Along the way, the coach formed a bond with his players and the community that remains strong to this day.
Everybody's here. I'm gonna turn you around.
Russ, what's up, bub?
He was such a good role model. I'm gonna cry. He was. I mean, the boys absolutely loved him.
For the short amount of time I was here, just how the community accepted me and treated me was really special. It just makes me smile thinking back on that year in Pittsburgh and how the community accepted me and the fun times that we really had. And at the time, I didn't recognize it.
Getting out of your comfort zone and leaving home and experiencing something different always makes you grow.
After that one season in Pittsburgh,
We had a really young team.
Steve took a job as head coach for the Commerce Tigers in 2000.
Very tradition-rich football program.
In his one season at Commerce, they went 13-1.
I remember we bought that blaster for the running backs.
Something different there than here is, every home game, we had to mark the field.
And I'd come up here like 3, 4 in the morning and move sprinklers on those football practice fields. It really makes you appreciate when you are in a larger district and you have people that are doing those things for you. There's cattle that are right over, on this side of the stadium. I'm so glad I got those 2 years, coaching in East Texas. But being away from home, I guess you kind of had to grow up.
In 2001, Coach Bragg returned to Mesquite ISD as head coach and athletic coordinator at his alma mater.
Well, we've got a quarterback named Ryan Witherspoon that does a great job throwing the ball.
North went to the playoffs his first 2 seasons, but more importantly, Steve continued to impact kids' lives in Mesquite.
Coach Bragg saved my life, really. I think personally, helping me get the opportunity to play at the next level, being a mentor and being a role model and kind of showing me how to approach the game on a consistent basis, week in and week out. And learning that at North Mesquite definitely helped me transition to the University of Texas and also helped me transition to the NFL.
In 8 seasons as head football coach, Steve's teams won 54 games and lost 33.
Mr. Bragg, would you please stand?
We promoted Steve to athletic director in 2007, and he helped lead the renovation of Mesquite Memorial Stadium. Now, the stadium is home to the district's Athletics Hall of Honor, another of Coach Bragg's legacies.
The renovation of Memorial Stadium, I'm really proud of that. The Hall of Honor, the development of the Athletics Hall of Honor. I think our middle school programs are a lot better now than what they were. We spend so much time developing the body. Now I think it's a lot more about changing thought patterns, winning their hearts, winning their minds.
Leave it better than you found it.
When you touch it, you want it to be better than, how you found it.
That's been a guiding principle for Coach Bragg throughout his career.
Yeah, Steve's been a great role model, and he's been an awesome person, I think, to work with.
And he has always remembered that sports is much bigger than winning and losing.
I think athletics is a great learning lab, teaching a lot of the life lessons that maybe teachers aren't able to teach in a classroom, such as perseverance and work ethic and the whole thing of team.
Football's still very important to Steve, but he also recognizes the athletes involved in the other sports. If I'm a middle school girls basketball coach, my team's important to me, and it's important that my boss knows that it's important.
For 16 years, he taught history and was an assistant coach at North Mesquite and Poteet.
He was focused on building character within the students, within the athletes, because he was just as concerned about helping them have a good life as he was about winning.
The bottom line for him has always been he wants what's best for the kids.
Coach Bragg just made sure that it was great for every kid, not just half of the kids or a few of the kids.
I tell our coaches all the time, these kids get one time through our middle schools and our high schools, and it's got to be the best time of their lives. We owe that to them, and we owe it to their parents.
The type of person and the type of kids that you put out into the world is more important than state championships, district championships, and so on and so forth.
I hope that students and athletes, when they look back upon me, I said that, he made a difference in our lives. I hope I've served the community, I believe that I have, but I hope people recognize that, if nothing else, man, he was trying to make a difference.